Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the latest on a fire in Goliad County that has scorched about 200 acres of land. Plus, we talk with a political expert about key local races that will be on the ballot in less than 2 months. And a big federal grant is heading to Rio Grande Valley farmers, but one Texas leader says it's just a Band-Aid for a much bigger problem.
For the north wind that came in yesterday, gave us a nice day today, beautiful day, getting only up into the low 70s. It was actually kind of chilly this morning, but we are warming up as we head to the weekend. We'll talk about it coming up in a moment.
Plus, a major investment is bringing new hope for mental health care in rural Texas, including a big boost right here in Victoria County. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. A red flag day throughout the crossroads, so let's go straight over to Mac Perez with a first look outside at the forecast. And yeah, it was a little taken aback by the cooler temperatures today. They were nice, but that wind just has not let down at all. With
a little luck, the wind will be settling down tonight. But yes, it was much chillier this morning than we had been for the past couple of mornings. As a matter of fact, dry air, I don't know if you've ever lived out in the desert like in Arizona. Dry air heats up a lot in the daytime and then loses a lot of heat at night. So it gets actually cold in the desert at night. Well, that's what happened to us. The dry air came in, lost its temperature, and it got rather chilly this morning. We were down, I believe, into the 30s. We'll get to that in a moment. What we've got, of course, is that north wind, but the good news is that it's beginning to settle down. And tonight should not be as chilly, nor should we have that problem. We're going to slowly start bringing back the humidity into the area, and that will hopefully lower our threat for any fire danger around the region. But right now, as you can see, it's still very dry. It's lovely. It's just the dry problem that we're dealing with. We'll have more on your weather coming up in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
The Texas Forest Service Task Force is on the scene of a brush fire in Goliad County, working to get full containment and monitoring for hot spots. The Sarco Creek fire broke out around 6:30 Wednesday evening between Highway 185 and FM 2441 near Blanconia. Crews from Goliad, Refugio, and B counties, along with state agencies, fought the flames through the night. The fire has burned about 200 acres and at last update is now 95% contained. A proposal to create a statewide system connecting emergency personnel and agencies is among several bills that target problems exposed during the devastating wildfires in the Texas Panhandle last year. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com. Help is on the way for farmers in the Rio Grande Valley. Senator Ted Cruz, Representative Monica De La Cruz, and the U.S. Agriculture Secretary announced a $280 million grant to help those struggling with water shortages. But Cruz warns it's only a short-term fix. He says Mexico needs to pay the 1.3 million acre-feet of water it owes Texas under a 1944 treaty. That's enough to supply Houston for 3 years.
We are going to fight for our water.
The $280 million announced today, is that going to help people down here?
That is going to help us tremendously. We lost our sugarcane industry in the last Congress, and we're on the verge of losing our citrus industry.
Local leaders say if the water does not come soon, South Texas farmers and the entire region will feel the impact. Victoria law enforcement arrests a man on child sex crime warrants from Maine. Around 10 o'clock this morning, Victoria County Sheriff deputies, along with Texas Rangers, arrested 31-year-old Jeremy Leta on Old Highway Road. Leta, a Victoria resident, was wanted in Maine on charges including unlawful sexual contact and sexual misconduct with a child under 12. Authorities took him into custody without incident. His warrants came from the Aroostook County Sheriff's Office in Maine, and now he is waiting to find out when he will be sent there to face those charges. With several elections on the May ballot, one local political expert says the biggest decision isn't who you vote for. It's making sure you show up and cast your ballot. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with Woodrow Wilson III to learn more about these upcoming elections. Ray?
Yes, Shawna, local political expert Woodrow Wilson III emphasizes the importance of voting in local elections.
Election Day is May 3rd as candidates prepare for the local elections. The District 6 and 7 seats for the Victoria ISD School Board are open, as well as the city mayoral seat. I spoke with political science lecturer Woodrow Wilson III, and he emphasizes the importance of voting locally.
It's so important to vote for those local leaders because they're going to make decisions that affect our lives more so than the state and more so than the federal officials.
VISD board president Mike Mercer is retiring, which leaves his district seat open. There's 3 candidates running. Those are Christian West, Joshua Moore, and Mitch Costello.
Regardless of who's elected, this individual is going to determine what kind of school your child goes to in Victoria Independent School District.
VISD District 6 candidate Margaret Pruitt is running for re-election alongside Andy Rokovich. Wilson mentions that both candidates care for the community and want to better the school district.
Who's on our school board absolutely matters and is going to matter even more as our school board will have more power than it's probably ever had in its lifetime.
Wilson also encourages voters to decide whether the venue tax for the community center will be beneficial. Wilson feels the renovation of the community center would keep events here rather than going to other places.
It would mean more events.
Wilson stresses that voting is very important because these are the people that will speak for you.
The city of Victoria will host 2 meetings to explain what the venue tax means. Those will be on Monday, March 31st, and Monday, April 14th. The last day to register to vote is April 3rd. Shawna?
All right, thank you, Ray. El Campo ISD is letting voters decide a bond proposition on the May ballot. The $80.9 million bond, if passed, would be used for additions and upgrades to Hutchins Elementary, the high school, and career and technology facilities. It would also provide safety and security improvements. Voters can learn more about the bond at ecisd.org/bond2025. Governor Greg Abbott announces a $239 million investment to expand mental health care in rural Texas, and $40 million of that is coming right here to Victoria County. The funding will go toward a brand new mental health facility named Hope Ranch, adding up to 60 much-needed beds for patients. The goal is to keep those struggling with acute psychiatric illnesses closer to home for treatment instead of sending them to major cities. State leaders say this investment is a game changer, improving access to care and easing the strain on hospitals. Construction on Hope Ranch broke ground last month off Highway 185. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell to receive alerts. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. The White House downsizes the Education Department, fueling protests and fears over student impact. Plus, a laundry detergent recall is raising safety concerns for many shoppers.
Get ready for the madness. Think you know college hoops? Prove it. Enter the Final Four Frenzy presented by Coastal Bend College. Put your bracket up against sports director Max Williams and weekend sports reporter Ray Robinson. Dribble on over to crossroadstoday.com to enter on the contest page. Win it all and score a family 4-pack with a hotel stay and a round of golf for 2 at Moody Gardens in Galveston. The Final Four Frenzy presented by Coastal Bend College. Brackets lock soon. Enter now.
The Trump administration confirms the IRS is actively discussing handing over taxpayer data to Homeland Security, a move that could lead to deportations of undocumented immigrants. Many undocumented immigrants register with the IRS and pay taxes, but now 2 immigrant rights groups are suing to stop the data from being shared with immigration authorities. A district judge declined to issue an emergency order to block the IRS from moving forward, leaving the future of this policy up in the air. An executive order signed this afternoon by President Trump to dismantle the Department of Education. Education advocates around the country warning that low-income students and those with disabilities will pay the price. ABC's Rena Roy has more on why the administration insists this needs to happen.
President Trump preparing to sign yet another executive order today, this one directing his education secretary to dismantle the Department of Education. The Trump administration saying it's hoping to return education authority to the states.
We trust teachers and educators in their respective schools to make these very important decisions about our children's education and their futures.
The administration arguing U.S. schools are failing, but the Department of Education does not administer curriculum, create lessons, or set requirements for enrollment and graduation. Critics arguing this move will gut public education funding and hurt millions of low-income students and those with disabilities.
What we find is when we give block grants to states, a lot of times that hurts students in need, that hurts brown and black children, and that gives states an opportunity to leave students out.
But the White House saying the department will not totally shut down.
When it comes to student loans and Pell Grants, those will still be run out of the Department of Education, but we don't need to be spending more than $3 trillion over the course of a few decades on a department that's clearly failing in its initial intention to educate our students.
Officials saying a smaller agency will help carry out some of the critical functions that the department focuses on, like enforcing laws against discrimination and providing funding for low-income students and special education.
I don't believe that those funds will still be there if this department is closed.
Last week, the Trump administration gutting the department, firing nearly half of its staff. Head of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten, saying on social media, "Mr. President, we will see you in court." A group of Democratic senators has written a letter to Education Secretary Linda McMahon, urging her to reinstate those former employees, warning if not, student loan borrowers will suffer dire consequences. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Be careful before doing your next load of laundry. Woolite is recalling more than 16,000 bottles of its Delicates detergent. Officials say the soap in question might contain a form of bacteria that's often present in water and soil. This bacteria can infect a person by entering through the eyes or a cut in the skin. There have been no related injuries reported, according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. The detergent was sold on Amazon in January. Well, March Madness is here. Fans are gearing up to cheer on their favorite NCAA teams, but all that screaming could take a toll on your voice. If you're not careful, it might even cause lasting damage. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither shares tips to keep your voice in top shape during the tournament.
It's that time of year again. Hoops, hopes, and fans cheering. But experts say prolonged shouting can actually damage your vocal cords.
Our voice is really kind of our treasure. It's part of who we are, and it's very important to take care of it.
Anne-Marie Parati with the American Speech, Language, and Hearing Association says excessive use of the voice for extended periods can lead to lesions on the vocal cords. To avoid temporary or even permanent damage, she says to stay hydrated by drinking lots of water and avoid sodas, alcohol, or even fried, salty, or spicy foods, which can all dry out vocal cords. Next, take breaks from cheering to give your voice a rest.
It's important for fans to remember that they don't need to be the loudest voice in the room.
Parati says you can find alternative ways to cheer that don't involve your voice, like clapping or using noisemakers. Also, don't smoke or vape and avoid smoky environments, which can inflame vocal cords. After the game, soothe your throat. Sipping warm tea with honey or inhaling steam can help keep vocal cords relaxed. Finally, if you have persistent hoarseness or vocal pain lasting more than 2 weeks, it's time to see a specialist.
The longer you go without getting the help, the more damage can be done.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Speech language pathologists can help treat vocal conditions. You can find one close to you by visiting the website for the American Speech Language Hearing Association at asha.org/ProFind. Well, Final Four frenzy is here and the road to the NCAA championship is wilder than ever. But can you predict the upsets and nail the perfect bracket? Head to crossroadstoday.com to make your picks and join the madness. So this brings us to our viewer poll. Have you played our Final Four frenzy? Yes, no, or it's on my list. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And 76% of you say no, you have not played. You can still get in there, make your account, pick your bracket, and 3% say it's on your list. So I urge you to get in there and do that this evening. But continue voting. We'll have the latest results on 25 News Now at 6.
Well, my bracket is over. The Longhorns lost last night, so I don't care what happens. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, please join in and you predict, all right? High pressure over us, giving us that lovely sunshine. The northerly winds are settling down. We're going to be a little bit warmer as we get to the weekend, and we'll talk about this coming up in a moment. Well, yes, it was a beautiful day, a little chillier this morning than even I bargained for. I had predicted 44. It came in at 37 this morning, and then it was rather windy as well. It made it kind of a chilly. I'm sorry if you got caught without a sweater this morning, but it warmed up nicely. We are right now at 70 degrees, and the best part, the winds have slowed down a little bit after being in the 30 and 40 mile an hour range overnight. So 71 was our high today. 36 was the morning low. Yeah, that dry air will drop the temperature dramatically. And of course, you know, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. It's beautiful weather. I admit it. It's gorgeous. It's lovely. It's just that, you know, we had that wildfire in Goliad County, and what if it hadn't been under control? Yeah, that's what I worry about. Well, the storm that brought us the front and the dry air is way out there, heading on toward the Canadian provinces. So we've got high pressure on top of us, giving us a beautiful couple of days. The question is, which way is the wind going to blow over the next 2 or 3 days as we get into the weekend? You can see how it's still out of the north right now. It's 29 miles an hour up there in Wharton while we're calm. So it's beginning to slow down. Humidity is still very, very low, and that's one of the reasons we put out the red flag warnings for high fire danger. Over the weekend, that's going to start increasing as the southeast wind continues to roll back in. Problem is, look at that, 10% in humidity in San Antonio, 9% in Cotulla. I mean, this is like an oven, you know, where there's no humidity in there, that you get crispy in there, you know. Well, while we have lowered the red flag warning over our county right about now, that's good. That's because the winds are settling down. They're still up. The winds are still up in Houston, and so that continues in effect. As we get to tomorrow, you can see how there's going to be a little bit of a change. By tonight, that southeast wind is starting to start rolling back in. And then you got to watch this because that's Friday, a pretty good looking day. You want to be outdoors, a little golf, lunch outside. Yes, the wind's not a huge factor, but we go into Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, they're going to be howling again into the 25 and 35 mile an hour range. So that is a big difference as we head on into the weekend. This high pressure is bringing us to good weather today and tomorrow, but then it rolls eastward, and that's why the strong southeast winds will continue. This little front in the Rockies is going to pass through our area Sunday night, early Monday morning. Nah, it's not going to do much. I doubt if it'll bring us a 20% chance of a sprinkle or two, but I wouldn't call it real rain. 45 will be our low tonight, chilly but not as cold, and then 77 tomorrow, really a gorgeous day, getting up into the 80s out west of us and into the upper 80s out there along the Rio Grande. We take a look at your day planner for Lavaca. Look at that, absolute sunshine, southeast winds coming back, getting up to about 75. Could you ask for a nicer day than that? Looking at Cuero, they've got a beautiful day as well. Sunny southerly winds kick back in by tomorrow afternoon, and then you're getting up to about 79, 80 degrees. 7-day forecast, well, we have the alert because the humidity is still very, very low. By Saturday, the winds will come back and bring back some of that moisture. And by Sunday, you've got a pretty good looking day for anything you want planned. This front comes in late tonight at night, probably early Monday morning, and there's a 20% chance of something there. But then as we get into next week, we're looking back at temperatures in the mid 80s, and we'll stay on the dry side. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today in your phone and on your pocket and in your kitchen table and wherever you want to go. Back to you, Shawna.
Well, coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, tariffs take hold, how automakers and car buyers are left facing the rising costs. Markets closed down in trading today. The Dow lost 11 points, the S&P 500 lost 12, and the Nasdaq lost 59 points. Oil is up $1.14 to $68.30 per barrel. The European Union is delaying its proposed tariffs on imports from the United States. The first phase of revenge tariffs was set to begin April 1st after the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports earlier this month. But today, the Commission said instead of 2 phases, the tariffs will begin on April 13th. More than $28 billion worth of American goods, including motorboats, motorcycles, whiskey, beer, and produce, will be impacted. Tesla vehicles are on a downward trend, both in consumer interest and resale values. Searches for Teslas fell 16% over the past month, but searches for other electric vehicles rose 28% over the past year. According to another survey from car buying site Car Gurus, Tesla prices dropped at a higher rate than the average used car price. Some of this could be attributed to Tesla owner Elon Musk's role in the Trump administration, where he's focused on slashing the federal government. But variety may also play a factor because more electric vehicles are being made now than in previous years. The auto industry is gearing up for a potentially bumpy ride this year. While some automakers are making breakthroughs in technology and innovation, rising tariffs and potential supply crunches are some of the challenges automakers are facing. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down what this means for the industry and car buyers.
25% tariffs now in place on steel and aluminum imports, levies on cars from Asia and Europe set to go into effect next month, and import taxes on all goods, including cars and parts imported from Canada and Mexico, to begin in less than 2 weeks. All adding up to uncertainty in the auto industry.
We're going to be getting back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away.
The Trump administration has listened to pleas from automakers to spare them from tariffs and said there's an easy answer: build cars in the U.S. But some say it's not that simple or quick.
You need time to adjust your inventory, your production plans. If you want to build a plant here, if everything went right, it would take 2 to 3 years.
President Trump's on-again, off-again policies have led some automaker CEOs like Jim Farley of Ford to say they're not going to invest billions of dollars and build new plants immediately. Auto worker and Trump supporter Chris Vital agrees there will be short-term pain, but hopes the work that gets done now isn't erased.
We have one guy who's in here for 4 years and he wants manufacturing, and then we get another 4 years of somebody who makes it impossible to manufacture. We can't keep going back and forth like that.
For people looking for a new car, they might be in for a sticker shock.
If we're talking about a 25% or even a 10% tariff, that's going to add significant cost.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Southwest Airlines is cutting jobs at several airports starting in June. The airline says it's realigning its workforce at Baltimore's BWI and 3 California airports, Burbank, LA, and San Jose. Impacted employees can apply for jobs at other locations, and a severance package is also on the table. A Southwest spokesperson says the company regularly reviews staffing levels to adjust for growth and avoid overstaffing. Still to come, hop on over to celebrate World Frog Day and find out why these slimy little creatures are stealing the spotlight today.
Tonight, President Trump's judicial showdown, the threat of a constitutional crisis, plus up to a foot of snow and strong winds moving east, tracking extreme weather. World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
To hop into the spotlight. Today is World Frog Day. This fun day is all about raising awareness for our froggy friends and their need for safer environments. Plus, it's a reminder that many frog species around the world are in danger. Frogs have been around for about 256 million years. Yes, million years.
They're that old.
And there are over 7,800 species of frogs and toads. Sadly, a couple thousand of them are at risk of disappearing. So we can all give a little love to these amazing amphibians today. And also a nice way to welcome spring. I mean, you think of frogs and, you know, hopping into spring.
I think of bunnies hopping into spring, but not so much frogs. But they have their own day. Yeah, you know, today is the first day of spring, March the 20th. Easter's still, what, a couple of weeks away. I'm thinking,
April.
Shouldn't we have done Easter by now?
I think it's a month from today, actually.
Yeah,
April
so
20th.
It's still a good distance away. So, yeah, it doesn't feel like springtime anymore. It feels more like summertime. Now, yes, it was cool this morning. Tomorrow it'll be slightly warmer, getting up to about 77. And then we'll be in the low 80s through the weekend. Really a very nice weekend. The Gulf air, however, is going to roll back in, bring back the humidity, and be a little blustery on the afternoon hours of Saturday and Sunday. Just keep that in mind. Hold on to your blue bonnet or your Easter bonnet or something like that.
All right, so that wind's going to stick around for a little bit. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 6.